Hello, happy Valentine's Day. Welcome to Empowering Women Through Fitness. This is your host. I am your host, Bridget, Therese, and today I'm so excited because we are talking to a relationship expert on Valentine's Day, which could not be more fitting. So I'm really excited to have her. Her name is Stephanie Churma. She is going to be joining us here in just a second. But while we wait for Facebook to notify everybody that I'm live, there she is. So we are actually, since she's here, we're going to go ahead and jump right to it. So I'm going to actually add her to my Facebook Live. When it gets connected, we will jump right into it. Hi, Jeff. Happy birthday. Hi, Diana. Everyone's joining in. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Hi, Laura. Hi. Good. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you so much for spending some of your Valentine's Day with us and my viewers. I'm so excited and appreciate you so much.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I'm excited.
Awesome. So I have just a few icebreaker questions for you for us to get to know you. And also just a little bit more about you before we dive into your content. So first question is, where did you grow up?
So I grew up in a city called Burlington, which is about half hour outside of Toronto in Canada.
Okay, awesome. And where do you live now?
Same place.
Oh, that's awesome. That's the thing with all my guests, so no worries. What are you something you're grateful for today?
I am grateful for having a really busy day, and I wasn't super feeling great every minute because it was very, very busy. But just to be able to have all these interviews today and all these talk shows and all the things that I've been doing today, and it hasn't always been like this. Yeah. So I am very grateful to have the platform that I do. And I'm grateful to just anyone who I get to talk to and connect with is really, really important to me. So I'm grateful for that.
That's awesome. If you could have lunch with anyone, who would it be and why?
Ooh, I think it would be Brene Brown.
Okay.
She is one of the best educators in terms of relationship and connection and vulnerability, and I just love her.
That's awesome. Well, I've had a chance to kind of listen to some of your content. I've been following you for a little while, so I kind of understand what it is you do, and I absolutely love it because there's so much of your content that really resonates with me right now. But for those of you who are meeting you for the first time or just watching this even on the replay, why don't you give us a little introduction and kind of tell us a little bit about your story and how you got to where you are today.
Awesome. Okay, yeah. So for those of you who we've never met, we haven't talked before, my name is Stephanie, and I'm a relationship coach and expert. I like to joke that I spent all of my 20s as a dating disaster. I made every mistake humanly possible. I spent a long time hurt. There was a lot of damage. And I remember having a moment around January 2015 where I said, okay, I've had enough. There's clearly something I'm doing because I'm the common denominator. And I remember I had this really powerful conversation with the universe, and I was like, show me what I'm doing wrong, guide me, and I'm ready now. And so about 57 days later, I collided with my now fiance. So it happened really quick, and I knew specifically what had shifted. And I remember thinking, oh my God, I'm onto something. There's something to this. And then I dove just headfirst into psychology of behavior, pairing, conscious relationship, identity, intimacy. And now I make a living off helping other women to really achieve that.
That's awesome. One of the things I listened to in your podcast today when I was baking and cooking and doing all of my household work was you really talked about energy and how the energy you put off is kind of the energy you attract. And I've been so much more aware of that these days. But can you talk about that as how it relates to relationships and just kind of your view on energies?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's the most overlooked thing. I think that we can get very righteous and very, I want it. Why don't I have it? We start comparing, and really it's about understanding that you will only call into your life what you're able to receive, what is a mirrored match for you. And so what I see oftentimes is amazing women. I primarily work with women, amazing women saying, I don't understand. I don't get it. On paper, I'm amazing. Like, I would date me. What the hell? Right. And so usually it comes down to their own behavior, which sort of comes from what they believe to be true about romantic love. So for me, I kept saying, I want a long-term monogamous serious relationship, but I was behaving like someone that nobody would take seriously. My behavior was not congruent with my desire. And that's where a lot of the pain came from, because I didn't understand. So in order to move that energy out, you have to address why we're behaving that way in the first place. What's the payoff? And then once you sort of do that work, the outer world will change. The people that you will be attracting will be different. The people you're attracted to will change. You won't be into these bad boy, douchey challenges anymore. It won't be appealing, because you will have been like, okay, you're just, it's transformative. So that's what the energy quotient really means.
Yeah, that's awesome. One of the other things you talked about, and I'm going fast here because there's so much we could talk about, respective of your time. But one of the other huge things that I watched your live the other day was talking about past relationships, and pretty much everybody has past relationships, and talking about how they can, like, stalking their Facebook or just feeling resentful. And I personally have had experiences that where I felt resentful, but the way you explained it was like mind-blowing. So do you mind talking a little bit about that, like just changing your mindset around past relationships?
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? We cling on to our wounds like it's nobody's business. Yeah. I can't tell you how many people defend their story, holding on. It's like they're carrying a bag of pain everywhere they go, and they wonder why things aren't changing. And so the thing to really do is to examine what happened in your life was a teacher. It was a lesson. Most lessons in our lives come from other people. So instead of stewing and getting so activated and intense over someone or a fragment of a memory that is no longer in your space, you really have to put it to bed. And the only way to really do that is to take the wound, look at it, examine it, do an inventory. What was his part? What was your part? What was the lesson? How are you behaving? What could you have done? Like, just look at it instead of getting so ragey and how dare he, and my asshole ex. And it doesn't serve you. Yeah. So in order to really sort of get past it, you have to decide that being this poor me, life sucks, men are awful, that identity cannot exist in a frequency of calling in a partner. It just doesn't compute. So in order to really take the sting out, you need to explore people and relationships that have really affected you and get honest about it. If you have been in a series of back-to-back, not so great relationships, you're the common denominator. You have been in all of them. There's something to look at there. We just don't want to, because it sucks. It's very easy to say, he was an idiot. He didn't know what he was missing. My life is amazing without him. All this bravado. It's not real. It's total bullshit. And the best way to really cleanse is say, okay, I entered this relationship. I stayed in this relationship. Let's take a look at it. And then once you do that, the heat's out. The sting is gone. So I always recommend you start there and really make it a cathartic, exciting experience instead of being so angry.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of the things you talked about was just being able to see people as they come and as they go. It's just part of, like, you're learning from them. They're teaching you something. Yeah. And so not to look at it in such a negative way, which takes a lot of mind shift work around that, which I believe is kind of what you know. Another thing you talked about was vibration, and I've been hearing this word a lot. And at first, I'm kind of like starting to understand and maybe you can help me a little bit with this too.
Yeah.
But you were saying how even when you walk into a room, and I liked how you explained it, you're drawn to people, and whether that be you're with somebody and you just feel negative and you're like, I'm going to go talk to somebody else. Or you get in a conversation and like 10 minutes later you've exchanged phone numbers and you got another coffee date set up or something like that. But talk a little bit about vibration and how you raise your vibration to attract what you want.
Yeah, perfect. So everything that we sort of acquire or call in exists in our space because we are a match, right? We're a vibrational match. So if you think about a time in your life when you were in a really sort of crappy relationship, typically you were in a dark place as well. There was usually a part of you that was like, if I look back, that was a rough time in my life. I was going through some shit. And so now when you're like, okay, like I've learned a lot, you probably wouldn't go back to that person who betrayed you or hurt you. Just for an example, the reason why you wouldn't go back to that is because you are no longer attracted to it. It came into your life. It taught you something very important. You learned in the process. That in itself will raise your awareness, raise your caliber. You learn to really appreciate the strength of moving out of that. That in itself will raise your frequency. So when that happens, you are no longer really attracted to that same type of person. And those same types of people are not going to attract, they're not going to be into you, because the bad, quote unquote, rough guys, the not so good ones, they typically go for and prey on very vulnerable, not so great self-esteem type of women. It's just easier for them. Unfortunately, this exists. So it's really about deciding what you're available for in terms of partnership. The more that you can get to know yourself and get really excited about who you are and what you have to offer, and not in a bravado way, in a sensual, calm, powerful way. Like the way that you treat your best friend. We think that that's normal, but then when it comes to dating, we'll accept a quarter of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we would call our friends at 3 a.m. We would be there for someone. We would pick them up. We would do whatever. But we'll take crumbs of a relationship. We'll take fragments of a guy's attention because it's better than nothing, until you say, wait a second. Okay, that doesn't fly. That's the first step. It's really just about awareness. Who are you? What are you willing to take? What's enough for you? When you start exploring that and asking yourself these questions, you will naturally rise up. And so the caliber of people in your life will have to as well.
Yeah. What would you say to someone? Because I've been in the shoes of the person in the relationship. Nobody likes him, but for some reason, and it took getting slapped in the face with what was actually going on to actually get out of the relationships. And I know friends who've been in relationships. I think we all know someone at some point in time.
Yeah.
Stuck in a relationship. But if that person is watching today, they're stuck in a relationship and they're hanging on for something. And the way you just put it, where it's like for our actual friends, how we'll do anything, but for our dating relationship, we'll take crumbs. That's, again, mind blowing. But what would you say to someone who needs to get out of that relationship and they're hanging on for crumbs or wants to get out?
Well, you know what? I was that girl. I was the I'll take what I can get girl. And if she's watching, I understand. I get it. I get it so much. I have so much compassion for this, because I remember feeling like I can't let him go because I put in work. And I'm not letting anyone else get the good version. So I'm going to hold on, lose myself in the process, essentially treat this person like a project. It's just, it's not real. And so the problem is that we hold on to this illusion, this fantasy, that one day they'll wake up and say, oh my God, it's always been you. What have I been doing? I've been such a fool. It doesn't happen. And so it's really about understanding that there are two options. Option number one is to stay in this soul crushing pairing, fearing that there will be nothing better and slowly losing yourself in the process. Or the other option is to say, you know what? I would rather be in this relationship I would rather not be in this relationship for one more minute.
Yeah.
Because if I hold on to something, like if you're watering dead plants, you're essentially, not only are you wasting your time, but you're preventing the right person from coming in.
Yeah.
We seem to think that we as humans know everything, that we are the smartest people on the planet. And whatever you believe, I am someone who believes that there is some type of interesting cosmic experiment going on. And I like to joke that, you know, the spirit guides or whatever are saying, not him, not him. We have someone better. There's what are you doing? And they go, it's like, okay, we'll make it worse. We'll make it more painful. Okay, she's not getting it. We had a little bit of pain, but I guess she wants more.
Yeah.
So it's really about, you know, a little bit of tough love. I am very cut and dry when it comes to standards of relationship, because if you accept a bullshit relationship, you cannot complain about it. You just cannot. So you can't be in a shitty relationship and then call your girlfriend and moan about it and then do nothing.
Yeah.
Because they're going to stop answering the phone. Do you really want to be the drama friend? I was the drama friend. I had friends who said, you know what? I don't want to hear another story about your weekend. It was humiliating. Yeah. So you can either wait until you're humiliated and your friends are annoyed and you've lost who you are, or you can say, you know what, there's got to be something better.
Yeah.
And that's the first step.
Yeah, that's awesome. And there's so much of it that makes sense and that I've been through as well. So that's so awesome. Another thing I wanted to ask, so say now you're out of the relationship and the next step is dating, and you always hear like, oh, wait until this many hours to text. And there's so many games around all that stuff right now, which I know you're very passionate about. But it's not a numbers game, but talk about how you can date and date effectively, but also attracting that right person and how you kind of know that.
Yeah, absolutely. When I say dating isn't a numbers game, it's more about the idea that we've sort of been taught that it'll just take one person and he'll make your life complete and everything will be perfect, and just go through the frogs to get your prince, right? Like that's sort of what we've been taught. But the problem is that you are taking you everywhere you go. And it's not some random stranger's responsibility to suddenly come in and make your life amazing. Right. It's just not. And I'm a romantic, like I'm an old school, like Pretty Woman is my favorite movie of all time. Like I love that. And it's really about saying, okay, I know what didn't work in my last relationship. I know what I'm not about. I know what I love. What if in the space in between relationship, I really start to know the kind of partner I'm going to be, the kind of partner I'm going to call in, and get really excited about that energy, as opposed to dating for sport or dating out of a panic or being like, fuck, I'm almost, 40. What am I going to do? That energy repels. Repels. The more that you can figure out who you are, what your quirks are, the weird little things about you, and own that is the most attractive thing on the planet. If you say to yourself, you know what, I'm now going to explore the dating scene and getting excited about who am I going to meet today? What conversations am I going to have? What new coffee house am I going to try? Yeah. How exciting. This is so neat. That's so different than, oh, if this guy stands me up, I'm going to lose it. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's different. And so you have to, don't even start dating until you're in that space of, wouldn't it be interesting to see what we talk about? I'm so curious about this person. The more that you can be light and curious as opposed to really, really needy and manic and stressed, the better it'll be, because you won't need games. Games is it's just a waste of time, and you essentially attract more game players.
Yeah.
It is so refreshing to go out on a date and say, you know, I want to have food that's going to get on my face. And I want to say a joke and maybe butcher it and we'll both laugh. Yeah. Or I want to tell him about this weird little thing that I do that's kind of embarrassing. The faster you allow yourself to do that, the faster you'll find your person. Because they're going to be like, hey, I like that weird movie too. And I never tell anyone because it's weird. Yeah. Or you know, like that's the good stuff. Yeah. You got to learn who you are and be okay with it and show up as that person all the time. And if someone, you decide if you want them in your space. None of this, I'm going to go on a date and I'm going to look perfect and I'm going to make sure I say all the perfect things so that he can say, yeah, maybe I'll see you again. It doesn't need to be like that. It's an invitation for both people to continue on exploring.
We're already at 20 minutes, so I want to ask you this. I know, I tell you, it goes by fast. So I want to ask you kind of one last question.
Sure.
Let you get back to your fiance. And also when we end, when we say goodbye, there's a little box that you can just X, and then I will close out the show and you can go on.
Okay.
So,
okay.
But the last question I kind of want to ask is, so we got out of the bad relationship. We're working on ourselves, which is what's going to bring up our energy and bring up that vibration. And one of the things I've been a lot more conscious about is energy, and people notice it. Like I had somebody tell me yesterday, I really liked your energy, or you have.
Yay!
And people can get that even through Facebook, whether watching your videos, post your contact, so which is probably why you got connected, because energy attracts energy. But
totally,
there's still, we're all human. We still face the rejection, whether it's a business sale, but today we're talking about relationships. So I like how you approach rejection. So can you share that, and then we'll wrap it up from there.
Yeah, rejection is one of the best things that could ever happen to you. It's divine intervention. It is a blessing. It's a reminder of who you are. Not everyone is going to like you. Not everyone's supposed to. And the same way that you can have someone message you and you're like, I don't know, not like, you're not a bad person. You're just not interested. It's totally okay. It's very human. When we're kids and we're on the playground and we don't get picked for something and we're like 7 and it scars us, like that's all it is. It's inner child work on steroids. It's essentially this story that we're not good enough. No one's going to pick us. And what can happen in our adult life is because we can get anxious and we can start spinning, and then we go into the catastrophizing, like it'll never happen for me, oh my God. We put so much pressure on each person. And so rejection, that word is a little bit tight. It's not a pleasant word, but the way that I see it is that if you're seeing someone or it's not going well, or you get dumped or ghosted, really the best thing you can do is say, what did I learn from this? Who am I now? Am I going to be okay? Yep, you are. And as soon as you can just sort of say, okay, you sort of move along the grid. You release that person who's not meant for you so that they can go and find their match. Hello, karma. You don't hold on to people. People are not possessions. And then you now have this open channel to find someone better. You will never lose the person who's meant for you. I just don't believe it. Like, I just don't think, because what a cruel joke. If the only thing that's real in this world is love, then why would it be orchestrated that we would lose the right person? I think we drop baggage along the way, and I think that it's okay if other people are interested. It's totally fine, because my flavor is not for that person, and my flavor is really appreciated by somebody else. And I wouldn't be able to get that if I held on tightly. So rejection's totally fine. It's not the last person on the planet. And you know what? Everyone won't be the one until you've found that match, and you'll know when you find that match. It'll feel different.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can attest to that, being in a healthy relationship now, or where I'm at now. It's just
Yay.
different. It is completely different. And I have such a fresh perspective on it, but even still listening to you now talk about relationships, and so creating that sacred space and appreciating it and recognizing how to grow together is super important. If somebody wants to find you, and I do have her links posted in the show description above, if somebody wants to find you or is interested in working with you, what is the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so the best way to get a hold of me right now is just through social media. I'm searchable on all platforms, Instagram, Twitter. You can even Google Stephanie Churma and you'll find some of my written work.
Okay.
And the new season 2 of the podcast will be released in tandem with the new website in the springtime. So building a little anticipation, but for now, you can find me on all social media, and I would love to connect.
And I love your podcast too. I know there's not that many episodes yet, so I'm super excited for the new one, but they're quick.
Yay.
They're so full of good information, so I do encourage you guys to go check it out. Stephanie, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your Valentine's Day.
Thank you.
I really, really appreciate it. You have a wonderful evening with your fiance, and I will be sure to follow you along your journey, and I encourage all of you guys to go follow her. So thanks again, Stephanie. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, love. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight on Valentine's Day. I appreciate you guys watching. This was a quick episode, but I wanted to be respectful of her night and also yours. If you guys are watching on replay, thank you so much for being here. Next week, I am talking to, I don't even remember, because I have my show is booked all the way through the end of April, but I think I'm talking to Nina next week. It's going to be good. I have a lot of amazing women lined up, just like Stephanie. So stay tuned. You guys have a great night, and I will see you again next week, 7 p.m.